Hey everybody, my name is Talha, and I'll be going through a research project I conducted for PTMA 431. Um, and the web scraping process will primarily be focused on um, getting data from PDFs, which I'll cover mainly in the second part of this tutorial series. So the general agenda is that in part one, I'll go through my research question, the main packages and key functions you will use when working with PDFs in R, and the link extraction process I went through to get the PDF links. In the second part, I'll go through mainly the web scraping, and in the third part, I'll go through the analysis I went through, and primarily how to export the data to from R into a file format that allows you to import it into different uh, data visualization softwares. Um, so my research question was analyzing the educational budget. So this is a um, current event as of late 2019, where the provincial government has announced some cuts to the education in their new provincial budget. And so here's just some headlines recently that have come out in both post-secondary institutions and local school boards are being affected. Um, I narrowed the scope of my analysis down to the Calgary Board of Education, as it's particularly relevant for the city, and there's more, I guess, homogeneous data available across different years for a single school board. So to evaluate the impact the provincial budget has on student performance, firstly, I'll quantify the variance in educational spending year over year, and then try to see if there's a relationship pattern that can be created between the educational funding and the student PAT scores, um, provincial achievement test scores. So getting into the key packages and functions required for PDF extraction. Um, the main package that we'll be using is for is PDF tools, and the key function is download file. So I'll go through this function in more depth during the code when I'm going through my tutorial code. But this essentially allows you to pass a link and the file name, and it'll download that PDF into your working directory, and then you can pass that file name into the PDF text function, and it'll return a character vector, the length of which matches the number of pages that are in the PDF. And each element is essentially the text that's contained on each page of the PDF. And tabulizer, so to a lot of, if you need data that's in tables, so like financial statements or other figures, extract tables is a key function. You can apply it to um, the entire PDF. I would not recommend that if the PDF is long, because the runtime will be quite long, and it'll bring in a lot of elements into your global environment that you don't really need. So um, what's probably a better approach, which I'll discuss in the second video, is finding the relevant pages, the table of information that you need is on in the PDF, and then just downloading the tables from those specific pages. And so getting into the general link extraction process, I use the get HTML links function um, from the XML package. I filtered out the links that I wanted using the pipe operator, inverted them into to get chronological order, and I need to do this for a few different pages. So now that we're in the tutorial code, I'll go through the general process I went through to get the links. So the links I needed were on 3 different pages, and all of them I needed to filter the links that I needed in a different process. But generally speaking, firstly you'd want to get the link uh, where all the PDFs are contained and put it into a vector. It's just easier to reference. And I'd always recommend using pipe operators, because they're a lot more efficient than having to do each step and then um, returning that back into the main vector. it's easier just to do them using pipe operators. Um, and so the general pattern when trying to filter out links that I would recommend you go through is that find a find, go through some of the links, open up some of the links, and see if within the link there's any consistent pattern across all the relevant pages or PDFs that you want. So if I go to the budget page, I needed all the links from year 2018-19 till 12-13. If I open some of these up, the two patterns I identified which helped me were all of the ones, the financial results have documents in them, so that, and they have financial, um, and financial can be seen here as well. So going back to the R code, I use a grep function, and that was in my initial pattern, and then um, all the links that got returned from there, if they had financial in the link, um, this function returned those. You, even though I specified a capital financial with a capital F and a lowercase f, the grep function does have a lowercase uh, parameter, which if you set to ignore case parameter, which if you set to true, it won't matter if the the string is capitalized or not. And then I didn't need the financial PDFs, so going back to the links, I didn't need the data for these three these 3 years. So um, I still use the grep function, but I just so for years 2010, 2011, and 2012, and if you set invert is equal to true, it'll only return the links that don't match this. So I only wanted the links that all the other links, so I just use the invert function. And so if you just run this piece of code, portion of code, you'll see that we did get all the links that we wanted, but they're still missing the first part of the link. What I mean by that is um, they're missing this portion of the link. And to fix that, all you need to do is iterate through. You can even actually put it into as a last step in the pipe operator. Is iterate through the list of links and just paste the base function and the financials and the links at each specific index. And you have to set the separator to nothing, because by default it will create a space between the two parameters within the paste function. So that's something important to remember. Additionally, this is one of the cons of the of working with PDFs, is that it's hard to write one function if for all the PDFs. So even though the PDFs I'm working with are financial statement related, if I open up the financial statement PDF from 2013, its format is different than all the other years. So I need to extract the data in a different following a different process. So what I did to get that link out of the vector of financial statement links is that similarly use a grep-l function. Like I said, this will return true or false. So if the link had 2013 in it, I put it into a separate vector, and then I also remove that link from our main character vector of overall links by putting a negative ahead of that index. So this will return the financial statements vector without that link, and I'm just storing it back into the into that vector. To get the diploma links, there were again on two different pages, and generally speaking, I followed the same format. So I wanted the uh, student diploma results for math, English, and language arts. Um, Math, English, and social studies. So that's what this is. That's what I set the pattern as. And like I said before, you can actually just put the paste function within here so that the links that you do get within these return will be the full links. And similarly, I followed a similar process for getting the links for on the second page. It's just following, like I said, the key thing is just if you can identify a pattern within the links, you may have to do it. You may have to filter out um, in a different process depending on which file you need and if you're working with different links. But the general format is still the same. Identifying patterns, use a grep function, and then use the paste function to append the starting part of the link to the file to the links that are returned from the get HTML links function. And lastly, since specifically I'm going to be working with PDFs, it can be helpful. And overall, I think this file downloads about 20 different PDFs. It can be helpful to create a folder for those specific PDFs. And you can do this by using the dir create function. So this will create a folder with this specific name. You can set this to whatever you want within your working directory, but it still won't be set as your working directory. So to do that, I just created a string. I use a get working directory function, and then I combine that with the uh, directory of the folder we just created, set the separator to false, and now this will be the exact directory of the folder. And then I set my working directory as that folder so that whenever I downloaded any of the PDFs, it didn't clutter up the desktop or your documents folder. It'll just be downloaded into this specific folder. So that's the end of tutorial number 1. In the next video, I'll be going through the primary web scraping process, so how to actually get information that's contained within tables, within PDFs, or just general um, strings that you need within different pages, how to extract those out. That'll be talked about in the next video. Thank you for listening.